everybody. Hi, it's Sue Ricks here, and absolutely delighted to welcome you to this next session about virtual reflexology on a live. And isn't it great when we all get a chance to get together? So I want to say hi to the people who've already signed in and are already ready to see the live. So that's lovely. And well done, Jordan. And Lauren Jordan, first time I live to make a live video. That's fantastic, Lauren, and brilliant, fantastic, well done. That will mean something to Lauren. So I want to say a really big welcome to everybody who's coming on board, because this is a session which I think is quite close to our hearts, because we're at this interesting time of being able to be distanced from our clients, which obviously, as all us people are so touchy-feely, that it's something which we really want. So I just realised I need to turn the sound down on my computer. There we go. And it's something which I think which we want to do is to be there for our clients. And, you know, we are those sort of heart-driven people, and we do want to be there for our clients, and we can't during lockdown. Although I do appreciate that some people around the world are back in making contact with their clients. And so virtual reflexology is something which cropped up for me, and I think for a lot of people. And we're going to hear some nice things today about virtual reflexology, not just from me today. It is a nice way of being able to help and connect in with people. And it's something that I wanted to do, was just to facilitate a little bit for all those of us that virtual or distance reflexology is a thing. And I appreciate that it's not a thing for some people, but for those of us who are here, then it's lovely. And it's so lovely to see people who are coming on board for this session, because, you know, if you're in the UK, it's a really fabulous day today. And I get that we've got people from all over the world who are joining us. And later on, we've got a nice little treat, because we've got two people who are going to be speaking live with us today. And these are going to be people that some of you will know well, and some of you may be meeting for the first time. So we've got Sharon Bowers, who is going to be here later on, who I'm going to be speaking to. And then I'm going to be speaking to Bev Green Johnson. So these are people that you may know so well, and I'll be speaking to them in a little while. And then we've got some recording of the wonderful Dorothea, who's in Belgium. And I'm going to be speaking with her as well, which we've had a bit of a chat already. So this is a session that I wanted to really open out to you. So if you've got any questions and you want to know some just my thoughts or other people's thoughts about virtual reflexology, then please feel free to post your comments in the box, and we can have a bit of a chat about them. So I'm going to be here for about 3/4 of an hour, and we can have a chat, or you can leave them in the comments, and I'll do my very best to get back to you and talk to you individually through the comments. And we can have a little talk about virtual reflexology, and also do some virtual reflexology, so that we have a chance to find out a little bit what that's all about. So my experiences of virtual reflexology, as some of you may already know, started with a family reason. And the nice news is that my family members are improving. So that's wonderful, wonderful news. You may have your own reasons for getting involved in virtual reflexology, or it may be something that you've started and aren't quite sure about it, or you've started it and you love it, or you're thinking of starting it. So this is a chance to get together and support each other while we do that. So I'm going to be talking to you about virtual reflexology from my perspective, and I thought it might be nice to also invite a couple of other people to share what they think about virtual reflexology, and I know that they've been busy. So we're going to hop on to speak to Sharon Bowers, who is in Canada. So I'm going to have a little chat with Sharon now to be able to find out a little bit more about what her experiences of virtual reflexology are. So are you there, Sharon? So this is where we find out how we actually use this new technology to be able to connect in with people who are in different places. So Sharon lives in Ontario, in Canada, and Sharon is absolutely fabulous when it comes to talking about the benefits of reflexology, helping to support people, passing her opinions and her sharing experiences with everybody. And there's so much that Sharon has to share with us. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to bring Sharon on to be able to talk about her reflexology. And if it's not possible today, then we'll be able to get her on to another day. And oh, there you go. I can see you, Sharon.
Hi.
Hi there,
Hi, Sue.
sunshine. Hi.
How are you?
So
Thank
I
you
don't know
so
whether you
much
can
for
hear
bringing
me,
me
but I
on.
actually can't hear you, but I can see you. So can you hear
Okay.
me, sunshine?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
You can hear me. That's great. I can't hear you, but I can see that you can hear me. So I'm hoping that everybody else can also hear you. So I'm just going to hand it over to you and to say to you that I do know that you love your connection with virtual reflexology. I do know that you've been talking about it, and I've loved talking to you about your experiences as well. So, would you like to share with people what your thoughts are about virtual reflexology?
Thank you, Sue. Absolutely. And first of all, thank you so much for having me, Sue. This is wonderful. Everything started for me with Dorothea. She approached me about could she do a session for me? And I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning. And I thought, well, we're in a pandemic, so what have I got to lose? I can actually even just relax for an hour. And I was very surprised by how much I could feel. And I knew where Dorothea was working. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So what I did, and Dorothea had encouraged me to work with other colleagues and try it out. And I thought, well, okay, it worked for Dorothea. So I immediately called Sandy Edwards and said, would you be open to letting me try a virtual reflexology? And the way I do it is I put on my uniform, I go down to my spa, and then I put the music on and I set up just like I would as receiving a client. And then I settle myself. And Sue, of course, I use your grounding methods. So I do the bowl and kind of get in and down. And then I get on my
Good
love
girl.
highway.
Yeah,
I think
lovely.
of three things that I love about myself to put me in the right frame to get ready to do it. And then I think about three things that I love about the person that I'm actually working on. I asked them to send me a picture of their feet because for me, I need to focus on the picture, and and then I work on my own foot so that it keeps very much my person in my mind. So it would be like, here they are on my table, and I work on my own foot. And the first time I did it, I really couldn't believe that I could actually feel what they were
Yeah,
feeling.
it's extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is. And in the beginning, I thought, oh my gosh, like, is this me or is
Mm.
it them? And I mean, I know you can visualize, which is wonderful when you're doing it, right?
But
I
that's
need the
great, isn't
proof. I
it?
need the picture.
And that's
It is.
great
It's
because
nice
you
that
do
we
it
can
your
do it.
way. Yeah,
Yeah. And
and
I,
that's
I
so
think
important.
everybody, yeah, they just need to figure out what works for them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you do all that setup. You make sure you're
Yep.
in the right state, in the right place. You
Yep.
look at the photograph of the person,
Yep.
and then talk people through who may be on this call who haven't done it before. What do you do then?
Okay. So I look over their foot. I look over the picture, and then I what I do is I just think, okay, how would I do a regular session? Obviously, I'm going to connect to the person and I send love to that person. And then I observe the feet and think, okay, like where would this person need a little work? Is their shoulder showing me that it needs the attention? Or sometimes I'll just straight out ask the person like, um, is there an area that you would like me to work on? And so I focus on their picture, and then I just start doing my reflexology on my foot. And it's just so simple. It's just like I would do if somebody was in the room with me. Just
So when you say you're working on the foot, are you working on your own physical foot, or are
I'm
you
working on my
working on
own.
a you're working on your own physical foot? Yeah.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's a really nice thing to know, is that that's a system that you do, and I know we're going to hear from Dorothea later that she does too. And what would you suggest if somebody maybe can't reach their own feet?
Well, I guess, why couldn't they just use the picture? If they would like to
Yeah.
use a picture,
Mm.
I'm sure if they set their intention, just like they would if they were working on their foot, um, or maybe a model foot if they have it, would probably work. I
I
don't think
think
there's
that's
any,
yeah.
sorry, Sue.
Go ahead, darling.
I just don't think there's any rhyme or reason. I think there's many different ways of doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So when you start to working on your own feet, and do
yeah.
you feel different sensations? Do you feel the sensations in your feet, in your hands, in some sort of sense that you can't explain? What do you feel?
When I start, before I start, the hands actually start to tingle. And a few people have come back to me and said, I felt that. I felt the energy. I know when you're starting. And then when I'm working on my feet, I feel sensitivities and I really have to pay attention because it's like, is this me that I'm feeling? Is this my issue?
Hmm.
And then I have to listen to, how you say you know, but you don't know how you know,
Yeah.
but you know it. And that's just kind of what happens is like all of a sudden I'll feel a reflex and I think, oh, ow, okay, that's not
Okay.
me. I don't
Yeah.
have an ear issue, so that's obviously them. And
Okay.
then I try to make a mental note when I'm going through of to try to remember to talk to them at the end about it.
I'm absolutely thrilled to hear you talk about it, Sharon, because this is new for all of us, isn't it? And this
It
sort
is.
of inkling and urge to have a go at something has sort of come out of the blue for so many of us, and you've very clearly got into it in a very beautiful way. And I personally would like to really thank you for being very brave. Let's honest this, being very brave coming on live. Not knowing what questions
Thank
we
you.
were going to talk about. So thank you, Sunshine. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope that people who are on this call or on this live now, or people who watch it later, think like I do, that thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for sharing what you do and how you do it. So thank you so much, and I'm very grateful that you're there to do that. If people want to speak to you, can they do a message maybe privately behind the scenes as a private messenger to you? Is that going to be okay?
Yep, that will be absolutely wonderful. Yeah, if I can help,
So
then
as you can see, it's Sharon Bowers. So you can check her out on Facebook, and you can message her behind the scenes. That's always the best way to do it privately. So I want to say thank you so much to you, Sharon. Really, really grateful. Lots of love. Bye bye.
thank you, Sue. Thank you. Nice seeing you.
Oh, isn't that lovely to speak to Sharon? Isn't technology amazing? that we're able to do this across across the airwaves. And I want to say a huge thank you to the lovely guys who are operating this behind the scenes at Light Up Creative. So they're making this magic work and make Sharon appear and then zoom off again. And I'm hoping that I'm going to get a chance to be able to speak to somebody else now and speak to the amazing Bev Green Johnson, also in Canada. And we met last year when we were fortunately able to be over in Toronto. And Bev facilitated a lovely training session. And I know that Bev also has been involved in doing virtual reflexology. So hopefully, if we get the opportunity, we'll be able to go live to Bev in Toronto. We'll get a chance to speak to her as well. Now, hi, Bev. Hi, darling.
Hi, Sue.
Lots
everybody.
of love. And I'm really glad that you've been
you.
able to get on, because I know the signal can be a bit tricky. Oh, I can see some charts I recognise behind you on the wall. I can see some.
There's a few there.
We've got matching charts behind us.
We do. And we do. Yep.
Great to be able to see you.
Thank you so much for asking me to be here. Sorry.
Well, thank you for being here. And it was just something that popped up in a chance conversation, wasn't it, you and I? And I just asked maybe you'd be able to share that with people when we talk about virtual reflexology. So as you've just heard, we've been talking to Sharon. And I know that you two are good friends, and it's nice to know that you're both involved in doing this. And I wondered if I could ask you how you found your experiences of doing virtual reflexology and what you do and how you do it. Oh, Simone and Susan say hi, by the way.
Hi. So I started actually a little while ago after Christine Stormer Fryer was on Sally Kay's book club. She had mentioned about virtual reflexology then, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is what we need right now. So I contacted a couple of my clients. Actually, before I contacted my clients, I contacted a couple of reflexologists in the area, and I asked them if they would be willing to try this with me before I offered it to my clients, because I really wanted to see how it worked first. And of course, they were on board, and much the same as Sharon did. For a picture beforehand. I'm a visual person, but a touch person. And so what I've done is I've taken the picture that they sent me, and I actually physically touch the picture, and I make a connection. I make an energetic connection to the picture. And then I the white and I protect the person, and I'm sending lots of love and good intentions to the person, so that the connection is there and they're going to actually feel something. At least I hope they do. And then what I do is I've made the connection with the picture by actually physically touching the picture myself. And then I do take my foot and I work my foot. Now, there's been a couple of times when I haven't been able to do that because of my own body pain that I've had. So I've just continually visualized by holding the picture. And I will actually go through the process of what we do while holding the picture. And it works. It just simply, it works. I can't explain why, but it does. And basically the same as what Sharon has touched on, is that everybody does it differently. You have to find what's right for you. You got to get in your own groove. I do the same thing. I come down to my treatment room here, and I sit and I meditate first, and then I get into it. And then I go through the process just as if the client was on the bed. And when I'm using my own foot, the same, and there's been a couple of times when I've hit a spot and I go, oh man, that really hurt. And I didn't have to check in, and I do, does this belong to me or does it belong to them? And the same thing, if it belongs to them, then I've made a note. And then when I discuss with them at the end, I start at the top of the foot, and I make a bit of a synopsis of what I found along the way.
Okay.
And so far, everybody that I have worked with has been totally blown away about this. And it's something that I think is we're going to see more of it. And the one thing that I would say to any of you out there that are looking at this and sitting on the fence, not knowing whether you should do it or you shouldn't do it, all I can say is try it. You've got nothing to lose, and you've got so much more to gain. And not only you, but your clients, because this is something that I think that is going to be very valuable to people, especially shut-ins and people that are, they're scheduled for an appointment, but they're really not feeling well enough today to come to you. Well, now you can offer them virtual reflexology, and they can still be at home, not feeling well, but still receiving the benefits of being there with you. The same thing with the people that I've worked with. They've noticed either a tingling or a vibration almost immediately. My hands are kind of like on fire at times.
Yeah.
And I will also feel some of the sensations as well. Now, out of the people that I have worked with so far, all but one has mentioned that they had felt some kind of a sensation, that they could feel where I was working. They knew when I was on their gallbladder. They knew when I was working the intestinal area. They knew when I was giving them some loving in their small back area, their low back area. One person that I worked on the other day said to me, "I'm sorry, Lovey, I didn't feel anything. I have to be honest with you." And I said, "That's okay, because not everybody will feel something right away, but you may feel the benefits of it later." And so when we made contact in a couple minutes later, and we discussed what my findings were, she said to me, "You're dead on. You're spot on with everything." Like she said, even though I didn't feel anything, it doesn't mean that it didn't work.
Well
Which
done.
is a very, very good point, because we know that not everybody is going to necessarily feel, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to receive the benefit of it. So I was pleased in some ways. I was disappointed she didn't feel something, but I was pleased in some way that she actually was able to state it to me in the way that she did, that even though she didn't feel anything, didn't mean it didn't work. And I think that is something that
really
we need
important
to
thing.
keep.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think that that's something that we as reflexologists doing this need to keep in mind. We need to bear that in mind.
And that it is such a gift, isn't it? To be able to know that it's something that's there, it's something that's offered, it's something that's out there, and it's going to be received or not received, and it's going to work or not work. And actually, we as practitioners don't need the validation. It's an offering that's made with a gift of love. And I'm really grateful, Bev, for you sharing that about your way of doing it and your way of approaching it, and the fact that you also shared that not everybody feels it as well. So that really makes a difference as well. So I want to say thank you ever so much, Bev, for being a brave cookie and coming on our first session, where we've invited people to come on live during this session, because and it's great that I know you. And so I'm really, really chuffed that you and Sharon have been able to join us on this session and for sharing that information. So if people want to speak to you, Bev, is it okay if they contact you over Facebook Messenger on private messaging? Is that all right? Yeah?
Absolutely. I would be more than happy to speak with anybody and give them some kind of encouragement, because, like I said, this is something that I think that is going to be very valuable to all of us, especially right now with the pandemic, but in future as well.
And that's exactly why we're here and what we're coming for. So thank you, Bev. It's wonderful. And I'm really, really grateful to you. So in the meantime, so I want to say a big thank you, hugs and kisses across the airwaves. And thank you so much, Bev. It's wonderful.
So much, okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Lots of love, darling. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Oh, isn't that lovely to hear from Bev, and to hear how she has been approaching it. And isn't it interesting that this coronavirus has given us this added impetus to experience and to talk about things that maybe we wouldn't have risked talking about. I don't think I would have done. I wouldn't have risked talking about this because, as I've said before, I think I would have been very nervous about saying, I'm doing this sort of, slightly wacky thing of talking about virtual reflexology. And yet it was a very, very real family situation that made me go, I really, really want to see what's possible. And we've heard from Sharon and we've heard from Bev about doing it, and then working on their own feet. And finding that that they could feel things and that the recipients could feel things, and as Sharon said, sometimes that but you don't know how you just know. And so when I'm doing things, and I can feel things, it's amazing. And I was fortunate enough to be able to speak on Friday to Dorothea, who has also been mentioned by Sharon. And some of you already know Dorothea, and I think she's actually watching us live now. So Dorothea, thank you so much, and I want to say hi to you. And let's just have a look at the discussion that Dorothea and I had on Friday, where she spoke about her views on virtual reflexology. So we're going to hear from her now. She's in Belgium. So this is Dorothea, who spoke to me earlier. So hi, Dorothea. Good to talk to you, and thank you ever so much for joining us here on this information about virtual reflexology. And it's great to speak to you, and especially as I know that you're speaking to us from Ostend in Belgium. So hi.
Hi, Sue. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
It's lovely to have you with us. So, Dorothy, what was it that got you involved and interested in doing virtual reflexology? How did that start for you?
It started with the coronavirus. I couldn't go out to the clients, and I was thinking, what can I do? And it's in my mind. Once I said, I try it. I saw a video from a Japanese therapist. He took it from the screen. He had a client on a photo from on the screen, and he did it on the screen. And I thought, oh, maybe if it's working on the screen, I can do it. Maybe if I do it with somebody's feet. And I tried with a friend of me. He was very critical. So I thought, if I said it's working, then it's okay. And I had the idea to take pictures before and after so I can prove it. And we did this, and it's really a difference on the pictures. And a few days later, I got some colleagues from America. It was his birthday, really little dog. And he said, oh, what I would like now foot reflex session. I say, yes, I can do it because I am doing an experiment. And he says, okay, we can go on. We tried. And so it started. So I knew he is a real someone. He really know if it's working or not. And so it was very, he did my feet, and the pictures are very, very different from the first before. And he encouraged me to bring it to the community, reflexology community. And I thought, I heard about all these colleagues from, oh, we can go out, we cannot do something. And I thought maybe we can do it for to each other, and we can exercise, and we can go new things experimenting. And that's the first what in my mind. And then it's getting bigger and bigger. I thought it's so nice. I have done lots of colleagues all over the world, and it's really meeting us together.
Yeah.
I feel that they all still in my heart, in my body. The energy from these people, we really connected, and it's
It's a
so
wonderful
beautiful.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful, and that's the first, the most why I do this. So getting connected, experience what we can do with reflexology. It's really working, and everyone can do it different. You do it different. I do it with my feet. I have to feel it, otherwise I can't. It's not so, my image, my visualization is not so good, so I really had to feel the feet, so I do it on my own feet.
Well, I want to thank you very much for sharing your experiences,
Thank you.
because the reason that I'm running this session is because some people are very interested in doing it, but they're not quite sure about having a go, and other people have had given it a go, but it's also good to hear from other experiences.
Yeah.
So I want to say a really big thank you, and I'll speak to you again at another time about it. So thank you very much for sharing those experiences today. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Bye
very
bye.
much. Greetings to everyone.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
So isn't that lovely to hear from Dorothea? She's just lovely, isn't she? And I think a lot of you have got to know her over the internet. And if you don't know her, then look her up as well. And you can also speak to her again privately behind the scenes on private messenger. And my plan is to invite some more people to talk about their experiences, and also to give an opportunity for Dorothea to talk more about her pictures that she was talking about, which I have seen, and I thought it would be nice to be able to incorporate some of those into this. So I am going to be doing some more on that later. So I'd like to say a big thank you to the three ladies, and I'm going to talk some more about virtual reflexology and what I do and how I do it, and then maybe we'll do some reflexology which you can join in with. So I obviously want to say a lovely thank you to Sharon and to Bev in Canada, and also to Dorothea in Belgium. So when I'm doing the virtual reflexology, so the girls were saying that they work on either a picture or they work on their own feet. I think the great thing is you need to do what's right for you, whatever it is that you want to do. So some of the questions that have cropped up, like, photographs of what, is it the plantar, is it the dorsal? It's whatever it would want to, it's right for you. So in a lot of cases, that would be the photograph of the plantar aspect of the feet if you were going to be working over a photograph. For me, and this is something which I've been doing, because I actually came into reflexology from the healing arts, and that's 30 years ago. So I've been doing distance work for people for over 30 years. So even though I've not done it with reflexology before, because I've not thought about it, I've been doing distance energy work for a very long time, and it's something that I feel very comfortable with. Can't explain it, I just know that it works. But in the same way as you might be thinking about a friend, and then the phone rings and it's your friend, or you're thinking, oh, I'd like to come across that book, and the book suddenly crosses your path. So the way that I do it, and again Sharon mentioned it earlier on, is it's about our beingness, as opposed to what we're actually doing. So I do spend a lot of time of actually sort of concentrating so that I am able to access my own quiet and my own calm and my own just going within and going in and going down, and staying nice and quiet and calm and settled. So I really do concentrate and focus inside and going in and down to make sure that I am in me rather than popping out and getting energetically distracted, and also fragmented, if that's what it means to me. So I need to be very in and very down. That's my phrase. That's what I say. And then I connect with the person that I'm doing. So they may be on the phone. It may be that I've agreed a time when I'm going to work with them, and I sit in my clinic space. So here I'm in my office, but in my clinic space, which feels very much like this space as well. I will sit very quietly, and then I close my eyes, because that's how I get into the zone, and I imagine that I'm working on that person. So we can do a little bit of a something now. So you could, if you want to do now, you could close your eyes, and you could imagine that a reflexologist is working on you. And so you could imagine that they have their hands above your feet. So your feet would be here underneath the reflexologist's hands. So I'm doing it now underneath my hands. So the feet underneath my hands. Right, and then I might move my hands down, right, the dorsal aspect of your foot and around your ankles, and then just moving down and around and down and around, and a very simple heel hold. One of the loveliest and simplest and most beautiful things that you can do is just do and experience a lovely heel hold. And this is one of the things that I say to my clients is, so I'm going to take my hands away while I talk to you now just for a moment, is I say to my clients, and I was talking a couple of days ago to one of my clients, that if you think that you would like a reflexology session from me, settle yourself down and imagine that I am doing the treatment that you are used to me doing on your feet. So these are my clients. They know what my session feels like. They know what they experience in themselves. So they can just imagine, right, at any particular time when they feel that they need a reflexology treatment, that they are experiencing a reflexology treatment. So in the same way as you might imagine that you're in a beautiful place on holiday, you could imagine that somebody's doing the reflexology for you. So going back to how you would do a session and receive a session. So I've got my hands again over your feet, and then we're going down and around, and then ending up with that lovely heel hold. So it's just a really nice, simple holding technique. And then just gently moving into the solar plexus. It's difficult for me to keep my eyes open, because to concentrate I have to close my eyes. So have your thumbs just really lightly over the solar plexus, and imagine that you're receiving what that could feel like. And it's the softest, most gentle, most offering ways. There's no force, there's no pressure. It's just checking in. It's just beautiful to be able to just check in, right? And you just literally just do that lovely offering into the solar plexus. And then you can do, right, just put your hands around a person's foot. So maybe you're imagining what this might be like to receive. So I'm bringing my hands up and over your foot. And it doesn't matter whether you're watching this live or in your own time, right? It's energetically out in a place and space. And then you just drain up the top of the foot in quite a sort of circular motion. And then we're going to go over onto the right foot, and thumbs on the back of the plantar, and then up and out and up. And this is a lymphatic technique. You can see this in the gentle touch reflexology. And just, it's a beautiful thing, and it feels absolutely heavenly when you're on the receiving end. And then just drain up, and as we go along, moving through the lymphatics, and then just cocooning the feet, and then back to that glorious heel hold. And there are loads and loads of different techniques that we could be doing, but maybe we just imagine that if you're just holding onto the plantar aspect, and then just using your hand just to go down and just soothe all the way down the foot. And then we go around your left foot, and then just soothe down. Now, my clients, every single one of them has taken me up on my offer of doing a complimentary session for them. And the feedback has been amazing. And if you're on an earlier session, you'll know that I had a surprise bunch of flowers, which you may have seen me opening the box. And those flowers, I have to say, half those flowers are still in a vase in my living room, which is really wonderful. And now I've had 2 of these lovely bunches of flowers from the same lady, which is just, and the first one's still going, because, and she wouldn't have sent flowers, would she, if she didn't think that it was working and she was getting a benefit from it. And so it's such a great thing to be able to, well, I love it. I love the fact that I can't see my clients. So I do speak to them over the telephone. I am in touch. I do send them a text or an email, but actually just sitting down and spending that time with the clients is something that I think is gorgeous. And as you know, with the family that started all this off, I alternated between the husband and wife of imagining that I was doing the reflexology while they were in hospital. Well, the good news is that one of them is now home, one of them is now in rehabilitation. So it's a really smashing thing to be able to do. And I want to be able to say, I can see lots of messages, but it's really difficult for me to read all the messages. And I can see there's lots of you who are here are interconnecting. And I really think that it is a great way for you to be able to communicate and to check in with this. And if you'd like to see more of these lives on certain themes or whatever, then please put a comment in the comments and let us know what type of thing that you would like to see. And also what your own experiences of doing virtual reflexology are, and if you're already doing it or if you're thinking about doing it, or if you're a bit nervous or whatever, pop a comment in the comment box so that we can all interact with you, and then we can be there as a support. So if there's any particular questions that anybody's got about what to do or how to do it, or comments or whatever, then please feel free to put those in the comments section, because like you, I think it's been fantastic to be able to be finding that I felt as if I was on my own to start with doing this, and then to find that other people are doing it, and then to hear that people like Christine Stormer-Fryer, say Dorothea, and Sandy Edwards, and quite a lot of people, there's Hayley, Laura, Louise, quite a lot of people who've been doing this. It just seems such a lovely thing to be able to create a bit of a network to support people, to have a little banded network to be able to be all together. And I know from previous comments that people who are joining us on these sections are from all over the world. So this isn't just a Loughborough thing. I live in Loughborough in the UK. It's not just Toronto. It's not just Belgium. It's all over the world. And so some of us are getting that sort of urge to be able to be out there doing this virtual distance sessions, and other people are feeling that it's something that they might like to try. So if I can encourage you, or Sharon or Bev or Dorothea can encourage you and support you, then on behalf of all the lovely people who've joined us, it would be just great. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see if there's any questions. If we want to, is it possible to get Bev and Sharon to just pop on as well, and then we can all say bye-bye at the same time, see if there's any questions. I don't know whether that's possible. I don't know whether they're still there. Let's just see if we can. Oh, I can hear Sharon. Oh,
here.
you are there. Hi, lovely. Isn't that amazing? Don't you think this technology is absolutely extraordinary?
I know. It's incredible.
So there's a question here.
We
So
thank your sons for doing this as well.
Paul and Dave, Light Up Creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
so Simone is going, for the ones doing virtual, can you do it for an hour or less in time? So do you want to answer that, ladies?
Sure.
I've done both.
I've done
I've
both.
done
Yeah.
an hour session and I've done half-hour sessions. And
Yeah.
the people that I have worked with actually preferred the half-hour session to the hour session.
Oh.
Yeah, they thought that it was enough. I offered to do the full, like I give them the choice. Do you want to do 60 minutes or 30 minutes? And the first few wanted to do the full hour, just as if they were here. And then the last few that I said, no, let's go for the 30 minutes, just so that you've got the difference to gauge. Right. So some people are going to say, yeah, I really want the hour, and the hour is more suitable for them. Where some people didn't want to put the hour in at that particular time. So they said, let's just do the 30 minutes, see how it works for you, see how it works for me. And then, you've got a good cross section of whether an hour session is going to work for people or 30 minutes. And ultimately it's whatever works for the person. Bottom line.
What about you, Sharon? Did you find half an hour or an hour or?
I've been finding that I've been doing an hour, but what else? Dorothea and I have been doing, and we call them power naps.
Good.
If somebody needs something, then we spend like 5 minutes, and we send out like a power nap to them, is what we call it, so that they can kind of, whether it's whatever it is, do they need their neck worked on, or so we just do like
I think that's great as well, because in my experience as well, and I like the fact that we're all saying a very similar thing. So my sessions are about half an hour, and that's almost as long as I can keep the full. I can get a bit. I find my going deep down, it's difficult if they're not there for me to do that. So I respect and admire, Bev, that you can do that. So I think these power sessions, like you say, are really great as well. And what I'm hoping is that we'll be able to bring together another session about virtual reflexology later, because I think there's plenty of things to talk about, and charging and situations, and how do clients work, and etc. So if you're watching this session and you've got any questions, please put the questions in the comment box, and we'll see what we can do to organise another way of being able to answer those questions from a variety of points of view. And I also, because Dorothea is here on the live, so I want to say lots of love, and thank you so much, Bev. Thank you so much to you, Sharon, and thank you so much to Dorothea, and to Light Up Creative, who've made all this happen, to every one of you that's watching. And I want to say, this is an amazing opportunity to get together. This virus has brought us something we could never have thought about. It absolutely, in my opinion, makes a difference. I really can't explain the whats and the whys technically in the way I might like to, but absolutely I know from my own point of view it works. So, ladies, can I say thank you so much to everybody who's watching. I want to say big hugs and kisses to everybody. Have a lovely day, and we'll all say bye-bye together, shall we?
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Lots of
everyone.
love.
Bye, everybody.